friends, welcome to Beautifully Bookish Bethany, where I have new videos every week about books and the geeky mom lifestyle. Today's video is a reading vlog where my friend Mara from Books Like Whoa got to choose 4 books for my TBR. Keep watching to see how it went. This has been a really fun project. I decided I needed a new intro, so as I'm filming this, I have a little over 100 pages left in the last book that I read for this project, but I wanted to give you guys a little bit of an introduction to what we're doing and why. Mara and I have been friends for a few years now, and I feel like we know each other's reading taste pretty well. I've seen other people do similar videos like My Boyfriend Picks My TBR or Another Booktuber Picks My Book Haul, and I thought it would be fun to collaborate with a friend where we send each other books to read without saying what they're gonna be. So I reached out to Mara and asked if she would be interested in collaborating on something like this, and she said yes. The way this worked is we each picked 4 books for the other person to read. We didn't really put any stipulations on it other than the fact that we had to have read at least 3 out of the 4 books, although I think the way it turned out is we've both read all the books that we sent to the other person, so that was kind of a non-issue, and trying to pick books that we think the other person will actually enjoy, not books that we think they will hate. You're about to see footage of me getting the box from Mara and opening up the books that she sent me. If you want to see what I sent Mara, you'll have to check out her video. I will link it down below as soon as it's up, and we are both putting these up on the same day. So hope you guys enjoy the vlog, and we'll see how well do we actually know the taste of the other person. So I'm really excited for this project. I hope it's going to be a good time. Even though I'm not going to be starting to read the books right away, the reason I'm filming this is the box that she sent me arrived today, and I just can't wait to see what's inside and what she decided to send me. We know each other's reading taste pretty well, and so I trust her, and I'm honestly really excited to see her vlog. For today, this is the box of books that she sent me, so we're gonna open it and find out what they are. First of all, they're very cutely packaged. Ah, yay! Oh, this is cute! They each have a little note on them. Oh, this is cute. Okay, so she went with a theme. We have something blue, and I'll open this up and see like what it says inside. Something borrowed, something new, and something old. This is so interesting. I am really curious. This says, wait, open me after you unwrap. Okay, so they all say, wait, open me after you unwrap the book. So she wants me to unwrap the books first before I read the card. I'm so curious to see what she sent. Okay, so like what is the best way to do this? This is so interesting. So something old, I'm guessing this is probably a classic of some sort that she wants me to read. Mara reads a lot of classics, so I'm guessing it's something in that vein. Something blue, this could be something sad, something with like the ocean or water as a theme maybe. Something borrowed. I don't know what this would mean. Maybe something that she borrowed from somebody else's TBR or from like books that somebody else really liked, maybe. And something new, so I'm guessing like a new release or book of some sort. Let's go ahead and open these because I am super curious. So we'll go ahead and do it in the traditional order. Something old, something new, something borrowed, something blue. So first up, we're gonna open something old. This one feels like a hardcover book, so I'm gonna take off the little note to read after we open this. And let's see what's in here. I was right. It's a Penguin cloth-bound classic, which is very exciting. So this is definitely something old. I don't know which one this is. Ooh, it's pretty though. Oh, yes! Oh, I'm so excited about this. Okay, this is Cranford by Elizabeth Gaskell. I am actually really thrilled to have this. I have read Wives and Daughters by Elizabeth Gaskell, and I loved it. I have never read Cranford, but I have seen the BBC miniseries, and I've always meant to go and read more of her work, so this is exciting. Ah, yay! Thanks, Mara. And I love these. They're so pretty. I get to add it to my little mini collection. Ah, yay! This is very exciting. This was definitely a good choice, because I do really like Elizabeth Gaskell. This is the type of classic literature that I like. And, oh, okay, I'm excited. That'll be fun. Cool. All right, let's open the note that came with it. She said, had to take the chance to spread the Penguin cloth-bound love, enjoy the old-timey satire, and fascinating window into the period's gender roles. Yes, that is perfect. I'm super excited for this. That was a really good choice. Oh, it'll be fun. Cool. I'm so glad we decided to do this. This is super fun. Okay, so something new. Oh, interesting. Okay. So I've not heard of this one particularly, but I do know of the author. This is Clean Sweep by Ilona Andrews. So I've read 2 of the books in the Kate Daniels series by Ilona Andrews, and I do know that this husband-wife team is one of Mara's favorite writing couples or authors, period, right now that's currently writing. I don't know what this one is about, though. This is interesting. Oh, this is super fun. This is about a woman who runs a Victorian bed and breakfast in a small Texas town, but secretly, her broom is a deadly weapon, her inn is magic, and thinks for itself. What? What? Okay, this sounds really, really fun. Yeah, I'm actually excited for this. I have never heard of this. Is this a new book? No, I mean, the book itself is not new. It's published in 2013. So the question is, why something new? I don't know. Okay. Let's read the card and maybe we'll find out. Okay, so she said, what could be more new than some sci-fi? So we're going with new because it's a sci-fi take. That's interesting. Instead of fantasy, it's like a fantasy sci-fi blend maybe, but okay, sci-fi. Enjoy this kick-ass innkeeper and the space friends she's trying to take care of. Awesome. Okay, this looks super fun. I am definitely down for this. So far, I am thrilled with these choices. These are going to be really fun to read. Not things that I would have picked for myself to read. Next up, we have something borrowed. Guess what this was, that it's something borrowed off somebody else's TBR, or maybe it has to do with the book theme. I don't know. We'll see. Let's see what we have. Okay, I know she really likes this book. All right, so this is My Life in France by Julia Childs. Okay, this is Julia Child's memoir. It's funny, I remember seeing Mara talk about this in a video as like an all-time favorite book of hers that meant a lot to her. This is not a book that I probably would have picked up to read for myself, but I do know that she really loved it. So I'm really curious to see how I get along with it. Okay, so let's read the note and find out why something borrowed. This is cute. I love the theme. Ooh la la, enjoy the journey of this wonderful woman as she borrows from another culture, right? Because she's known for French cooking, of course, got it, and falls in love with the food and life in the process. A warm hug of a book. Well, that just sounds lovely. Okay, I get it. So borrowed from another culture. This is cute. This was a very cute theme. And lastly, we have something blue. My guesses are it's either something sad or something involving the water. Let's see. Oh. Hey, I'm kind of excited about this. I have heard her talk about this author, and I have not read her. So this is The King's Spinster Bride by Ruby Dixon. We have a fantasy romance novella, which I am so here for. And I have heard her talk about Ruby Dixon and have been really curious to try something by this author. This looks really fun. The love interest is a barbarian. I am very interested in this. Okay, let's like read the note. This is so fun. Oh my gosh. What? Okay, Mara. So she says, get it? Blue? Like raunchy? Like sex? Okay, anyways. Yeah, I was so far off base. I was like, how is this blue? Okay. Anyway, I wanted you to try something a little outside of your comfort zone. So this is a campy, sexy, barbarian romance with a protective alpha who is hot for an older woman. I love it. I'm down for this. Okay, guys, so those are the 4 books that Mara sent me that will be going on my TBR between now and the end of September. I am actually really excited about this because none of these are books that I would have picked up like anytime soon. I did vaguely want to read Cranford at some point, but it was not really on my radar to do soon, and the other 3 were not on my TBR at all. And this is like a pretty great mix. I don't know exactly when I will start reading these, but I will be back with another clip whenever that happens, and we will see how Mara did picking books that she thought I would enjoy. Thanks, Mara. I think this will be really fun. Hello. It is a few weeks later. It is now September. I have a weekend where I figured I could make my way through some of these books and vlog it. I've found, especially with like the busyness of having small children, that like vlogging during the week is a pain in the butt. Say hello. Say hi.
Hello.
Is this September? Yeah. And what day is today? What?
2020.
What? 2020. It is 2020. You're right. Is it Saturday?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's Saturday. What are we doing today?
Make pancakes.
Making pancakes?
Yeah.
Yum. That'll be delicious. Are we cleaning the house too?
Yeah.
Yeah. So guys, I have discovered that trying to vlog during the week with the busyness of children is challenging, but weekends I have more time. So I'm going to try to get through these 3 books this weekend. They're not super long, so I think it's doable. I think maybe 4 books would be too ambitious, but I'm going to try that.
Please copying me.
That's you on the video. You're copying yourself on the video.
Love time. Lovely time. It's always lovely time. It's lovely time. It's always lovely time. Let's do it. Let's do it. Boo, boo, bee, bee. I don't know to write. Oh. Let's take a dollar or take a walk or waddle or do the many do.
All right, goal for the weekend is to try to get through these 3 books: Cranford, Clean Sweep, and The King's Spinster Bride. None of them are super long, and I actually have access to Cranford for free on Audible, so that's going to be my audiobook for the weekend. And I think these will be fun. Maybe I'll get started on the 4th book, but at least these 3 I think is very doable. I just think weekend vlogging works better for me. Okay, do you want to say bye?
Bye.
Listening to Audible while we do chores this morning, and then I'll read the others
Now
later.
we need a button.
Yeah, push that button, the red one.
Bye, people.
Okay.
Now put it
Now
there.
push the button. Hello. My makeup is done. I'm dressed. We did chores this morning while I listened to Cranford. It's almost noon, so I'm gonna go have some lunch and then probably read some more. I am here, so I'm about halfway through at this point, and this is just so charming and funny. I really, really enjoy Elizabeth Gaskell's writing. I did end up reading the introduction in this edition, and I'm glad I read it before I started the book because I think it gives really interesting context as to the time period that Elizabeth Gaskell was writing in, some of the arguments she was making with this story. One thing that's really interesting about this is that really the town of Cranford is populated by women, and they do most of the work around town, the emotional work. They're the central characters. And apparently, according to the introduction, there was a debate going on during this time as to whether women could actually create cohesive communities amongst themselves and become friends with others. There were people who thought that women without a man were incomplete because they were created for marriage and motherhood and couldn't really create their own society. And it's clear that Elizabeth Gaskell disagreed with that. And so part of the reason behind the strong female relationships and sister relationships and relationships amongst the women in the town and their support for one another, even though they're really funny sometimes, is partly speaking to that. And so I think it's really interesting reading the introduction and kind of reading it through that lens, but it's also just really funny and charming. The minutia, like I think you have to enjoy this sort of book with like the minutia of daily life and the sorts of little things that mattered to people in this small town. How you should only visit with somebody for 15 minutes at a time, and so you needed to be constantly aware of the time and not talk about anything too absorbing so that you didn't overstay your welcome. Some of the just like funny stories of, for instance, a man who becomes the trusted go-to for advice from all the women. And so when he jokingly said that they should keep a cow warm by putting it in flannels, the woman who owned the cow decided to sew up like a flannel top and pants to put her cow in as it went out to pasture. Just like little things like that. It's really charming and funny and cozy, and I'm thoroughly enjoying it. So I think this was a great pick. I am about 100 pages into it. This is a little over 200 pages long. It's not very long, and I think this could be a good classic to start with for people who like this sort of historical fiction or kind of small town vibes, because it's not that intimidating. It's pretty easy to read and it's entertaining. And I am enjoying the audiobook. I read along with it for part of it, but then I've been kind of doing chores around the house while I listen. So there is my update. I will check in with you guys a little bit later, and probably later in the day I will start one of the other books. Okay, so I just got done filming a couple of videos. I did a series review of the YA fantasy series starting with Black Wings Beating. I did a video talking about my current 10 favorite romance authors, and I've made a little more progress in Cranford. I've read the first 10 chapters at this point, so a little more than halfway, and I'm continuing to just really enjoy this. It is super charming. That said, I am tired. I need some coffee. I think I'm gonna pop in headphones and go grab some coffee and listen to some more of this. And then I am thinking that The Spinster King's Bride is gonna happen tonight. This is a novella, and I am ready for like some fun, silly romance goodness. And I'm pretty sure that's what Ruby Dixon offers, so we're gonna be picking this up later. I finished reading Cranford, book 1, done. It is not quite 5 o'clock. And I actually finished the narrative part a little while ago, and then was reading some of the appendices that are in this version, which were really interesting. I just think the historical piece of this and like the fashion and all the different parts of it are really interesting. And I've read a book once about Elizabeth Gaskell's life, and she's just such an interesting person as well. Anyway, I really enjoyed this. I will say I'm not sure reading it all in one go was the best choice. I feel like I would probably have enjoyed it more if I had broken it up into like 3 parts or something, but because I'm vlogging this, you know, it kind of is what it is. I think probably if I reread it in the future, which I could definitely see doing, that's probably what I would do, is take it in smaller bits. It is just so charming. The town, the people, it's this interesting microcosm of what parts of life were like in the 1800s and social mores and gender roles. I really like it, and I think there's a lot of like subtly deep themes that she's playing with that you kind of have to look for. So anyway, my arm is getting tired. I'm gonna put this down. All that to say, I really enjoyed it. It makes me want to go rewatch the miniseries. There are just so many amazing characters, and of course Maddie is one of the central figures, and it made me like tear up too near the end, all of the women secretly putting some of their funds together to help support her when she loses everything, like the community and the sisterhood and the camaraderie. It's just really touching. It's great. I would definitely recommend Cranford. I do think taking it in smaller pieces would be more enjoyable. My only thing about this, and I think it makes sense knowing about the book, is it doesn't always read like a novel. It's kind of a series of vignettes. And reading the introduction, this was not originally conceived as being a novel. It was originally published in 8 parts in a magazine, all kind of stories centering on characters from this small town. It was like an ongoing thing. And then at some point, Elizabeth Gaskell decided to collect them together and turn them into a novel. And I think you can kind of tell that. I can also see the appeal of reading that kind of a story where you kind of sequentially stay in the lives of these characters and hear more of their mishaps and things. It's the kind of town that she easily could have written more books in, because the characters and the life of the place are so vibrant and there's so much room to play. And I also think that's part of why, even though it's a short book and it's, you know, not even 200 pages long, I think that's part of why it makes such rich fodder for doing a mini series, for instance, because there's just such strong characters. And I guess that's pretty amazing, right? That in a relatively short book, she can have this whole cast of characters that you feel like you know on some level. I really liked it. I think I would give it 4 stars. I could see though, if I reread this in the future, maybe raising it, but just because the flow of it, reading it all at once, it doesn't really read like a novel. So 4 stars, but I really enjoyed it. I think this was a great pick, and it's nice to be like reading a classic again because it's been a while. So next, I'm going to dip into The King's Spinster Bride because this is what I need right now, and I think it's going to be a good time. I know Ruby Dixon is a little wild for some people. I've never read her, but I hear Mara talk about her, and I'm curious to see how this goes, so we will see. I will check in with you guys again a little bit later, maybe once I've gotten into or finished The King's Spinster Bride. Wish me luck. Hey guys, so I finished this book. I quite enjoyed it. It was very entertaining. Yeah, this is an interesting one. I think this would for sure not be everybody's cup of tea. It is a quite steamy romance novella that's like over the top in some of the stuff that it does, but it's like self-aware about it. And some of the like over the top stuff just made me laugh. I get the appeal of I get the appeal. I'm curious to read more from her. I think Mara said she wasn't sure how I would do with this because he's kind of an alpha male, but like it worked okay for me because it wasn't serious. Like he was big on consent and it was kind of tongue-in-cheek half the time. Plus the heroine is older, so like this was a good choice, I think, for trying out Ruby Dixon for me. It was fun. So basically the premise of this is there's a princess who saves the life of a boy when he's 8 years old and she's like 9 years older than him. And then 16 years later, when he's 24, he comes to claim her as his bride and he's now this like barbarian king. But if they're going to get married, she has to agree to their barbarian wedding customs, which includes some kind of over the top things. So it was really fun. I enjoyed this. I think, excuse my noisy children in the background, but yeah, I really enjoyed this. It was a lot of fun, and like I can't read some of the quotes on here that made me really laugh because this video would get demonetized, but like there were some very funny things. So for sure more on the steamy side, but a lot of fun.
We do a picture.
It's a video.
I don't want to do a picture.
I wanted to do a picture. Okay, so I got a little interrupted by my children who are now in bed. Hopefully they'll be asleep soon, but I just wanted to say, I kind of love this cover. I think the dress is beautiful. This was super entertaining. Definitely, as Mara said in her note, a little outside my comfort zone, but I think the fact that it's so campy really worked for me. It's just funny. One of the funny things about this is that the barbarian weddings include a ceremony where the potential groom has to pleasure his bride to prove that he can be good for her in bed. And so part of their barbarian training as young men is how to do that, which is just great. Yeah, so I found this to be very entertaining and enjoyable. We went from Cranford to The King's Spinster Bride today, which yeah, both good, quite different. And I think I'm gonna start Clean Sweep. This is going quite well. I don't know how much more I'm gonna want to read tonight. I kind of feel like watching Vampire Diaries, so we'll see. But I want to at least get started on this one. And this is like sci-fi and magic, I think. So hopefully it will be fun. Good morning. Well, okay, good afternoon. It's like 1 o'clock on Sunday. Gonna start doing some reading of Clean Sweep this afternoon. Last night I was really tired, so I ended up not really making much progress on this. I read like a couple pages and that was pretty much it. I watched some Vampire Diaries. I read a little bit of my E-Arc of White Fox by Sarah Faring. Wild book. And then this morning was a lot of like channel housekeeping and planning and editing videos. Now I'm about ready to go get a cup of coffee and dive into Clean Sweep. So my goal is to finish this book today, which I think is definitely doable. Again, not a very long book. Mara was very kind to me and didn't give me very many long books. This one is 227 pages. So yeah, that should be a very easy read to finish today. I definitely gave her a higher page count. I tried to be somewhat aware of it. Like, I know I included one novella and a romance in her books, but she for sure had a longer page count than mine. But you'll have to watch her vlog if you want to see what I gave her to read. Okay, so clean sweep, sci-fi with magical elements. I think it's going to be fun. The premise of it sounds great. Let's go get some coffee. Hey guys, so it is Sunday evening. It's almost 7 o'clock. I just finished dinner. I am about halfway done with Clean Sweep, and honestly, I am thoroughly enjoying it. This book is just so much fun. It's an interesting blend of sci-fi and fantasy. It uses a lot of fantasy tropes, but then has some kind of sci-fi explanations for some stuff. So I don't know exactly what you call this as a genre, urban fantasy, I don't know. But whatever it is, it's just like a fun concept. It follows this woman who's like 24 or so who runs a inn for unusual or magical beings in a small town in Texas. And there is a werewolf, and there are mysterious things going on, and a sentient house, and it's just really fun. There's humor and there's great characters. It feels kind of like a romp. I'm just like thoroughly enjoying my time with this. I feel like this was a really good pick. I've been thinking I need to read more from Ilona Andrews. I've read the first 2 books in the Kate Daniels series, and I do like them. If you've read those are much darker. This is a much lighter sort of story. I mean, there is some violence in it, but it just doesn't feel as dark. And one thing that's kind of interesting, I was reading in the introduction, is this originally started as like a fun side project where they were writing it a chapter at a time and posting it online for their fans to read and comment on, which is so interesting that it ended up turning into this book. Yeah, I'm just really enjoying this. It's a lot of fun. I will check in with you guys later this evening. Okay, I just had to pop in here and say, I just read a scene where she fights an alien monster in a Costco with giant bottles of bleach and cans of corn, and it's wonderful. This is the best. This is like cozy urban fantasy, I guess, with sci-fi elements. Yeah, I'm thoroughly enjoying this. It's really entertaining. Good morning, guys. So, yeah, it is the next day. I did finish reading Clean Sweep last night. I was just really tired and too tired to do a vlog thing about it, but I thoroughly enjoyed this and I want to continue on in the series. This is like what you want to read when you just want to like cuddle up with something that's fun and light and cozy. The stakes aren't super high. It's a little bit tongue-in-cheek sometimes. It's got fun characters. It was a really, really good time. I think this was a great pick as well. I now am putting the next book on my wish list because apparently there's like 5 books in the series. And yeah, this like innkeeper with a magical inn and travel to different planets. Certain parts of it remind me a little bit of Star Wars vibes, like some of the sci-fi elements of it, but then with like paranormal stuff. It's such an interesting genre mashup, but I think this was a good choice and I really enjoyed it. One book left to read, which is My Life in France by Julia Child. I know I've heard Mara talk about this one as one of her all-time favorite books, especially memoirs, and that it's like a warm hug of a book, which is great. You know, she picked really fun, cozy books for me to read. It's nice because I feel like lately I've been reading a lot of like really dark things, and so it's kind of a nice change actually to have like fun, silly, cozy options that I'm really enjoying. All right, I will check in with you guys later once I have gotten going on My Life in France. Hey guys, so it is the next Saturday and I'm headed out to grab some coffee and start reading the last book. Got a bookmark ready to go. Gonna spend a little time outside. I've been inside all day doing chores and doing work. I'm ready for a little walk. So I will update you guys once I've read a bit more. Hello, so it is 8:30 at night. I am halfway through My Life in France. I always forget how much slower it is reading nonfiction than fiction. Yeah, it's funny. Like, I'm halfway through this, which is like 160 something pages, and it has taken me hours to read it. That said, I am really, really enjoying it. It's just really lovely and charming, and Julia Child is so joyfully passionate about her discovery of French cooking. It's really interesting kind of window into this time period in Paris and in France right after World War II. Yeah, like she's just got so much personality and loves her husband and loves cooking and is discovering who she is and who she wants to be in her late 30s, which is cool. I didn't realize that she was so much older when she kind of got her start writing her cookbooks and doing the show. It's really cool. It's really interesting. And I'm enjoying it. It is a very lovely, happy book to read. One thing that's really interesting reading this is I actually, many of you probably don't know this, but I actually have a master's degree in public diplomacy. And so reading from this perspective about stuff during this time period, because the reason I say this is her husband worked for the US Embassy in France, and both of them were involved in US government and military work during World War II. And it's interesting because I've read academic texts on the history of like the State Department and other related institutions during this time period as part of my master's degree. And then reading it from a more personal perspective is just really interesting. So it's kind of cool being able to like connect dots there and trace things. So I'm also enjoying that element of this. That said, nonfiction is so much slower going. I feel like it's because I have to really think about everything that I'm reading. It doesn't just like suck you into the narrative the way that fiction does, which is why I usually will do it on audio, but it's fine. That I am really enjoying it. I love all the pictures in here. There's a lot of photography. Her husband was an artist who was a photographer and a painter, and so some of his photographs are peppered throughout the book, which is kind of cool to see. It's such a lovely book, and honestly not something that I probably would have picked up on my own, so I'm kind of glad Mara pushed me to read it. So far this has been a really great experience. However, I have been reading this since about 2:30 with a few breaks in between for stuff with the kids, and so I am ready to take a break from it. I think I'm gonna get in some PJs, watch a show, have a drink. Maybe I'll try to read one more chapter before bed. We'll see how I do, but I need a break for a little while. If I finish one more chapter, that will get me to part 2 of the book, and then hopefully I can finish this up tomorrow. So I will check in with you guys again probably tomorrow. Bye. Hello, so quick update. I finished reading My Life in France. It is Sunday night. I am going to do a final wrap up and discuss my thoughts tomorrow. I ended up spending most of today filming videos, editing videos, and then didn't start reading until later in the afternoon. But I did finish it. I liked a lot about it. It does remind me though, nonfiction takes me so much longer to read when it's not on audio, but really good book. I will gather my thoughts and we will do a final wrap up tomorrow. All right, so time to wrap up this vlog. First, I'm gonna give you some of my thoughts on My Life in France now that I've had a minute to like digest and write a review that I haven't posted yet on Goodreads. I'll post my reviews once this video goes live. So this, in many ways, was definitely a pleasant surprise. Not something I probably would have picked up on my own, but I really ended up liking it. I think it's an interesting window into what life was like during this time period. The joy and passion and personality of Julia Child just jump off the page, and that's cool and really beautiful to see. It's also really amazing that she was able to create this super successful career later in her life. Yeah, it was just really joyful and really charming. I will say for me, and this is definitely a personal taste thing, sometimes the long descriptions of food and preparations of food got to be a bit much, but I think this is totally a personal taste thing. Some people are going to love that, especially if they're really into food and really into French cooking. For me, it did drag the pace of the book down a little bit, and I would definitely caution any vegans or vegetarians out there. Some of the descriptions in here might be a bit much for you in terms of French preparation of certain types of dishes. I'm not vegetarian, and even for me there were a couple of things that I was like, okay. For instance, methods of killing a bird for a particular dish. among other things. So just kind of an FYI. That said, overall I did really enjoy this, and I ended up giving it 4.5 stars. So let's do a quick overview and talk about all 4 of the books that Mara got for me and think about how did she do? Does she know my reading taste? Did she do a good job of picking out books? I mean, I think it's pretty clear that the answer is yes. She did a pretty good job picking out books that I would enjoy. And I think what's striking to me about these is none of them are books that I probably would have picked up on my own, with the exception of Cranford, but even that was not going to be high on my priority list. And they're all books that were really fun and happy and joyful, which was a nice change from everything else that I've been reading in other parts of my reading life lately. I also think it's worth pointing out that none of these books got less than 4 stars for me, so all books that I really enjoyed my time with and liked. So I think she did a pretty good job. If I was going to rank these, it's hard because they are such different books. But if we're just going by rating, the lowest rated one was Cranford at 4 stars. That said, I could see on a reread this maybe getting more stars for me. I think that the fact that I was trying to read this all in one day maybe caused my experience to suffer a bit, especially because this isn't really formatted as a traditional novel, and so the flow and the pacing of it isn't necessarily designed for reading all in one sitting. That said, this one did get 4 stars. Then both My Life in France and The King's Spinster Bride got 4.5 stars from me. I really enjoyed both of these, but they are so completely different. I'm not entirely sure how to compare them. I'm glad that I read this one because I think I will try to pick up more Ruby Dixon in the future, and I had been curious to see how I would get along with her, and this was just a lot of fun. It was very campy, which I think is part of why it worked so well for me. And My Life in France was beautiful and joyful, but definitely a nonfiction book, and reminded me why I tend to prefer reading my nonfiction on audio, because reading it physically is so time consuming. Not to mention that, of course, there's a lot of French words thrown in here. I don't speak French, and so that probably slowed down my progress. So while I really liked this, it took me so many hours to read, given the fact that it's not a very long book, guys. It's like 330 pages, and this was almost all I read for 2 days to get through it, which is highly unusual for me. And I realize it sounds like I'm complaining about it. I'm not. I enjoyed my experience reading this, and I'm glad that I did it. It was just because I was kind of on a deadline of having to finish it for the vlog because I have kids and my schedule is what it is. It wasn't like I could just sort of take my time with it and read it a little bit here and there. That said, I did really like this a lot. The clear favorite was, of course, Clean Sweep by Ilona Andrews. I loved this. It was so much fun and so charming. I gave this one 5 stars. I want to read on in the series, and I didn't even know that this series existed, so I'm really, really happy that Mara sent it to me to read. So what have we learned from this? I think that Mara has a pretty good handle on my taste and did a great job of picking books that I really enjoyed my time with that I probably wouldn't have gone and picked up on my own. Now, I am super curious to see her vlog and see how she gets along with the books that I sent her. I will be watching it as it goes up along with everybody else because we haven't talked to each other about our thoughts on the books at all. But overall, I had a really good time with this. It was a super fun project, and thank you, Mara, for getting me to read books that I probably wouldn't have picked up otherwise. Hopefully this was fun for everybody. Again, check out Mara's vlog. I will link it down below as soon as it is live, and I will be watching it as well. Let me know if you guys would be interested in seeing me do something like this again. This was fun and went pretty well. I think if I find people that I know I have pretty similar tastes to or who know me pretty well, this could be an interesting project to do again in the future with other booktubers. So let me know in the comments down below if you guys would be interested in seeing that from me. As always, talk to me in the comments down below. Let me know any of your thoughts or feelings on anything. If you guys have read these, if you liked them, if you now want to go and pick them up. And I think this also shows the benefit of sometimes having books pushed on you that are not what you would naturally gravitate towards, because sometimes you'll find new favorites or find things that you really like that maybe you didn't know you would enjoy. So thank you to Mara for that. If you guys like this video, give it a thumbs up, subscribe if you want to see more. Thank you so much for watching, and I will see you next time.